That night, the storm over Montana didn't just bring cold. It felt like something was trying to erase everything it touched. Out there in the endless white, an 8-year-old girl named Alara Whitlock knelt in the snow, holding her mother, refusing to let go, no matter how hard the wind screamed. Her mother, Seraphine Whitlock, barely breathed. Her small hands were shaking. But she stayed, because leaving was never an option. And miles away, in the dark beyond the storm, a Labrador named Copper suddenly lifted his head, not because of the wind, but because he felt it. 2 heartbeats, growing weaker, yet still holding on to each other, as if love alone could keep them alive. And in that moment, Copper ran. Because sometimes, when the world turns cold and silent, it takes a single soul who refuses to ignore the fading light. And what happened next would bind 3 lives together in a way none of them could have ever imagined. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss the next story. The wind came down hard over Gallatin Valley, Montana, long after sunset, when the world should have been quiet. Instead, it howled across the open land, dragging sheets of snow like blades across frozen ground. The sky was a dull, endless gray, and the night carried a cold that felt deeper than weather, something that settled into bone and stayed there. At the edge of that valley stood a small wooden ranch house, weathered by years of storms. Inside, Liam Carter, a 45-year-old rancher with a quiet, disciplined nature shaped by years of solitude and loss, moved from window to window, securing the shutters. He had lived alone since his wife passed several winters ago, keeping to routine, keeping his world small. Behind him, near the hearth, lay Copper, an 8-year-old male Labrador retriever with a deep golden coat and steady, intelligent eyes. Copper had once been trained for search and rescue operations in mountainous terrain before Liam adopted him. Though age had slowed his body slightly, his instincts had never dulled. At first, it was subtle. Copper's ears twitched, then his head lifted. His nose moved, slow at first, then sharper, quicker, testing the air as if something invisible had brushed against it. This was not the scent of snow, not the scent of wood or livestock or the familiar boundaries of the ranch. It was something else, faint, distant, but unmistakable, human. And beneath it, something metallic, something sharp, blood, far out there, buried somewhere in the storm. 2 lives, Alara Whitlock and Seraphine Whitlock, were holding on to each other, their presence carried in fragments through the frozen air, just enough for Copper to find. Copper stood up fully now, his body tense, muscles tightening as memory took over. Not thought, not hesitation, just instinct. He stepped toward the door, then faster, until his paws struck against it. A sharp bark broke through the cabin. Liam turned, frowning. "Easy, Copper." But the dog did not settle. He scratched harder, barked again, louder this time, urgent, almost frantic. It was not fear. It was recognition. Copper had found something. Liam paused, watching him more carefully now. In all the years they had lived together, Copper had never reacted like this without reason. "Nothing's out there," Liam said quietly, though his voice lacked certainty. Copper turned his head slightly, meeting Liam's eyes. There was no confusion there, no doubt. Only a single, unwavering message. "Come." The wind roared outside, rattling the walls. For a moment, Liam hesitated. Then Copper made the decision for both of them. With a sudden burst of movement, he lunged forward as the door cracked open under Liam's hand and vanished into the storm. Snow rushed in behind him, cold and blinding. "Copper!" Liam called, stepping forward. But the dog was already gone, swallowed by the white. Liam stood there only a second longer. Then, with a sharp breath, he grabbed his coat and moved after him, because whatever Copper had sensed out there, it was real. And it was running out of time. Somewhere deeper in the storm, beyond the reach of the ranch, Copper moved with a certainty that no map could offer, his body cutting through the wind as if guided by something older than memory. He did not run blindly. Every few moments, he slowed, head lifting, nose working through the chaos of snow and air, adjusting his path with quiet precision. To anyone watching, it might have seemed random, but Copper was following a story written in scent, faint, scattered, nearly erased, yet still alive. The trail pulled him forward. Then suddenly, he stopped. Half buried in the snow, a dark shape emerged. A silver SUV tilted at an unnatural angle along the edge of a shallow drop. The windshield was fractured, one side pressed deep into ice. Copper approached slowly now, and then he saw them. Alara Whitlock, an 8-year-old girl, small and fragile from the cold, her blonde hair tangled and stiff with frost, sat on the ground beside the vehicle. She was not moving much, not because she lacked the will, but because she was holding everything she had. In her arms was her mother, Seraphine Whitlock, a 35-year-old woman who had once worked as a nurse in a nearby town, now lay slumped against the side of the SUV. Snow had gathered along her shoulders and arms, her breathing shallow, uneven, almost lost beneath the wind. There was no space between them. Alara held her tightly, her small body curved protectively around her mother, as if warmth could be created through closeness alone. Her fingers were stiff, her movements slow, but she did not let go. Copper took a step closer. Alara's head lifted instantly. Her eyes, red from cold and exhaustion, locked onto him. "Don't come closer," she whispered, her voice thin, barely stronger than the wind. But she didn't stand. She couldn't. Leaving her mother, even for a second, was not something she would allow. Copper paused. Then, instead of advancing, he lowered himself to the ground. Carefully, slowly. He turned slightly sideways, making himself smaller, less threatening. His tail remained still, his posture calm, not submission, but understanding. The wind pressed harder around them, but Copper held his position. Then, inch by inch, he shifted forward, never breaking the fragile space between the girl and her fear. When he reached Seraphine, he stopped again. His nose touched her wrist. Cold, but not still. There it was, a faint pulse, weak but present, like an ember buried beneath snow. Copper's ears lifted. He turned his head sharply toward the direction he had come from, and then he barked, loud, clear, repeated. Not a warning, not fear, a signal. He had found them. And somewhere behind him, fighting through the storm, Liam Carter was already on his way. The journey back began on that same unforgiving stretch of snow, where survival now depended on movement, timing, and trust. Liam Carter did not waste a moment. After confirming Seraphine Whitlock's condition was fragile but stable enough to move, he carefully lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, her body weakened from hours, perhaps days, of exposure. Still, there was life there, faint but present. Alara Whitlock moved immediately. She did not step aside, did not hesitate. She stayed so close that her shoulder brushed against Liam's coat, one hand still gripping her mother's sleeve, as if distance itself could undo everything they had endured. Her legs trembled, but she kept pace. Copper had already moved ahead. He did not run far this time. Instead, he led in short bursts, pausing, turning back, checking. His ears stayed alert, his nose constantly working. Each step he chose seemed deliberate, avoiding deeper snow, shifting direction before danger could fully form. The storm pressed against them harder as they moved. At one point, Copper stopped abruptly, letting out a sharp bark. Liam followed his gaze and adjusted course, stepping around a patch of unstable snow that would have given way beneath their weight. Alara noticed everything. She watched Copper more than the path, as if the dog had become something more than a guide, something she could rely on without question. When her steps slowed, Copper circled back briefly, brushing against her side before returning to the front, as though reminding her to keep going. Seraphine stirred once in Liam's arms, her breathing uneven. Copper noticed immediately. He came closer this time, gently nudging her hand with his nose, a quiet insistence as if urging her to remain present, to stay with them just a little longer. It was enough. Step by step, they reached the ranch. Inside, warmth replaced the storm. Liam laid Seraphine near the fire, quickly gathering blankets, his movements steady and practiced. Alara dropped to her knees beside her mother, her fingers wrapping tightly around Seraphine's hand once more, refusing even now to let go. Copper took his place on the other side. He lay down close, close enough to share heat, close enough to feel the rhythm of breath. The three of them formed a silent circle, holding something fragile at its center. Hours passed, then days. Liam moved quietly through it all, preparing food, tending to Seraphine, keeping the fire alive. But he never disturbed that bond. He understood it now. And then, one morning, Seraphine opened her eyes. Her gaze did not search the room. It settled immediately on Alara. And just beyond her, Copper. Alara leaned forward, her voice soft but certain. I didn't leave you, and he didn't either. Time moved on. The ranch slowly changed. What had once been a place of quiet routine became something warmer, fuller. Alara's footsteps echoed through the halls, her laughter returning in small, careful moments. Seraphine regained her strength, helping where she could, rebuilding piece by piece. And Copper, he remained where he had always been, not at the edges, but in the middle. Not guarding anymore, just staying. Because sometimes the greatest rescue is not the moment someone is saved, but the quiet promise that no one will ever be alone again. From the eyes of someone who truly loves animals, this story is not just about rescue. It's about a bond that words can never fully explain. Copper didn't just save a life. He protected the fragile love between Alara Whitlock and Seraphine Whitlock when it was at its weakest. And sometimes animals don't follow commands. They follow the heart. The lesson here is simple, yet powerful. When the world turns cold, love, loyalty, and presence are what keep us alive. If this story touched you, take a moment to share it with someone who believes in kindness. Leave a comment about your own story with an animal, because those stories matter. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep telling stories that remind us what truly matters. May God bless you, keep you safe, and bring warmth to your life, no matter how cold the world may feel.